everyone. In our previous sessions, we have discussed about how do atoms exist, right? In how many ways atoms exist? In the form of molecules and ions, right? In our previous session, we have discussed about molecules, right? Atoms in the form of molecules. Atoms exist in the form of molecules. That molecules is classified into elements and compounds. We have discussed how they exist in the form of elements and compounds, right? We discussed about monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic, tetratomic, polyatomic. Yes, polyatomic ions, right? Now, in today's session, we are going to learn about ions. Atoms exist in the form of ions. Molecules which we learned yesterday, and this is about ions which we are going to learn now. What do you mean by an ion? Ion is a positively or negatively charged particle. Can we call it as an ion? Positively or negatively charged particle. As we know, atoms are neutral substances. Why atom is a neutral substance? Which contains same number of protons and electrons, which nullifies the charge. What do you mean by nullifies? One positive electron or positive ion means proton reduces the or nullifies the properties of electrons, negative ions. One positive ion, one negative ion nullifies, that means they become zero charge. So, if any atom contains equal number of protons and equal number of electrons, its charge is zero. That means neutral. Then why we are talking about positively or negatively charged ions? As we know, the elements consist of different number of protons and electrons. All the elements do not contain same number of electrons. When we consider sodium, the atomic number of sodium is 11. Atomic number of sodium 11. It means that it is showing how many number of electrons? 11 electrons. 11 electrons and 11 protons. Due to having same number of protons and electrons, the charge of this sodium atom is neutral. Yes, that is 0. How can it become a positively or negatively charged element, negatively charged ion? How an element can become positively or negatively charged? It depends on sharing of electrons or giving or taking of electrons. Okay, this ions formation gas configuration, to get stable electronic configuration, the element or the atom should lose one electron or should gain one electron, right? Losing or gaining. So here every element, every atom wants to make the shells completely filled. Then only it becomes a stable electronic configuration, right? So what is the outermost shell of the sodium? M shell. How many electrons are present in the M shell? One. How many electrons are needed to complete the M shell? Seven. So getting 7 electrons from another element, another atom, it is highly difficult for getting 7 electrons. So this sodium atom loses 1 electron to become inert gas configuration. Inert gas configuration in the sense outermost shell should be completely filled. So how this sodium atom can completely fill their outermost shell? By losing 1 electron, right? So this sodium, by losing 1 electron, how it becomes? If it loses 1 electron, what happens? Out of 11 electrons, 1 electron it is losing. So how many electrons will be there? 10 electrons. But it is not, there is no change in the number of protons, right? So how many number of protons are there after losing 1 electron? 11. So 11 protons and 10 electrons, right? So it is having 1 positive charge extra. This 10 electrons nullifies the charge of 10 protons. 10 protons, 10 electrons gets cancels. And how many protons are extra here? 1. So then it becomes sodium plus. That extra positive ion can be shown on the right top of the symbol of an element. Yes? Here how many protons are excess for sodium? 1. Because 10 electrons and 10 protons nullifies the charges and 1 proton will be extra, that will be shown as a right top with positive symbol. Okay. The positive charge ions are called cations. Positively charged ions. Okay. Let us see some more examples of these positively charged ions. Right? Here sodium, is it losing or gaining electron? Losing electron. In the same way, let us see some other example. Magnesium. What is the atomic number of magnesium? What is the atomic number of magnesium? 12. So, if atomic number is 12, atomic number represents the number of electrons or number of protons. Right? So, how many electrons and how many protons will be there? 12 protons and 12 electrons. Right? So, if we can see this atomic structure, the structure of magnesium, which is having 12 electrons, 2 electrons will be occupied in the K shell and 8 electrons are occupied in the L shell. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. And how many are coming? 2 electrons. So 2 electrons in the M shell. As we know, every atom gets its outermost shell completely filled. So how many electrons are required for magnesium to get its outermost shell completely? 6. So instead of getting 6 electrons, if it loses 2 electrons, then this outermost shell will be completely filled. Then L shell will be the outermost shell of this magnesium. So how many electrons it loses? 2 electrons. So here magnesium, on losing 2 electrons, what happens? Say this structure will become how much? Magnesium 2 in K shell and magnesium 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Actually, how many number of electrons should be there for magnesium? 12. So how many are there after losing? 10. After losing 2 electrons, how many are there? 10. So 10 electrons nullifies the charges of 10 protons. And how many protons are extra for this? 2 protons. So here plus 2. So magnesium Mg plus 2. Got my point?
Yes, ma'am.
So in the same way, can you do it for aluminum?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the atomic number of aluminum?
13.
13, not 15. Okay. I heard 15 from somebody. Atomic number of aluminum is 13. So aluminum, how many electrons will be there in K shell? 2. 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next, 3 are there in the outermost shell. So outermost shell should be completely filled. So how many electrons it possesses?
5.
How many electrons it possesses? 3. Because gaining 5 electrons, that some element, some atom should give 5 electrons. No atom can give 5 electrons. Right? So it has to lose 3 electrons to get outermost shell completely filled. So after losing 3 electrons, it becomes 10. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What about L shell? No electrons will be there in L shell. So out of 13 protons and 13 electrons, how many electrons it is losing? 3 electrons. After losing 3 electrons, how many electrons will be left? 10 electrons will be left. So 13 protons and 10 electrons. When 10 electrons nullifies the charges of 10 protons, 10 electrons and 10 protons gets cancelled. If 1 proton, 1 electron is there, 1 positive and 1 negative, what happens? 0. Minus 10 plus 10, what is the value? 0. So here plus 13 minus 10, what is the value? Plus 3. That plus 3 will be on the right top of aluminum. So aluminum is aluminum positively charged ion? Yes? So if it is positively charged ion, what do we call it as? Cation. Cations. Okay. Now let us see negatively charged ions. Right? Negatively charged ions. Here, negatively charged ions has to gain electron from some other atom. Right? So let us take the example of chlorine. How many electrons are there for chlorine? 17. 17 atomic number, 17 protons, 17 electrons. Right? So this chlorine is having atomic structure. That means the structure of the chlorine as K2 L 4 5 6 7 8 and 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So how many electrons are there in the outermost shell? 7. So how many electrons are needed for filling the outermost shell? 1 electron is required because it needs to get their outermost shell completely filled. Right? How many electrons are required? 1 electron is required. As it is having 17 protons and 17 electrons, this chlorine on getting 1 electron, it gets 1 electron from some other atom which has the tendency to lose the electron. Right? Previously we have discussed about cations which have the tendency to lose electrons. From that cations, they take the electrons from the cations and this chlorine grabs the electron and forms negatively charged ion. Why do we call it as negatively charged ion? After getting 1 electron, the number of electrons present in the chlorine changes. So after getting 1 electron, it becomes 18. 2 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. L shape is filled. What about M shape? 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we are writing all the 8, if we are drawing all 8 electrons in the outermost shell, here what we have to represent?
Minus.
Why we have to represent minus? 17 protons and 17 electrons. 1 electron is added. So these two charges get cancelled and 1 electron charge is left. Electron is having the charge negative. So it becomes Cl minus. So we can write in the form of equation like Cl on gaining 1 electron, it gives off Cl minus. Like this we can write previous cations also. Now one more example for this negatively charged ions. I tell you. Okay. So let us see one more example for this negatively charged ions. That is oxygen. What is the atomic number of oxygen? 8. So 8 protons, 8 electrons. 6. So how many electrons are required for oxygen? 2 electrons are required. So instead of losing 6 electrons, if it gets 2 electrons from cation, then its outermost shell will be completely filled. So after getting 2 electrons, it becomes 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 electrons it is getting. That means 2 electrons are added here. So these two charges gets nullified and 2 electrons are there. What is the charge of electron? Negative. So I am writing as -2. Okay, you can write as -2 or 2 minus. Both are same. So oxygen plus 2 electrons gives off oxygen -2 or oxygen 2 minus. Okay, this is about negatively charged ion. Negatively charged ion is called anion. Okay, positively charged ions are called cations and negatively charged ions are called anions. Let us see what happens when negatively charged ion and positively charged ion they are sharing electrons. Okay, as we know, the ionic compound which is sodium chloride, the common salt. Common salt is the ionic compound. Yes, what is the formula of sodium chloride? NaCl. Yes, in this NaCl, sodium chloride, which is anion and which is cation? magnesium oxide ionic compound? Because magnesium is losing electrons and oxygen is gaining electrons. Losing and gaining electrons, when any compound is formed due to the losing or gaining of electrons, that compound is called ionic compound. Yes? Then, as I told you, sharing also considered. In which case sharing also considered? There is some other compounds called covalent compounds. In covalent compounds, mutual sharing will be there. For example, you have a pencil and she have a pen, but both of you need pencil and pen. What will you do? Sometimes you will use pencil, sometimes you will use pen. So those will be the sharing things which you both are sharing mutually. In the same way, if two atoms require the electrons, right? Those both share the electrons and forms a covalent compound, right? Today we are learning about only ionic compound which is formed by losing or gaining electrons. Let us see some other example, that is magnesium oxide, and tomorrow we will learn about covalent compounds. Right? Yes. Instead of drawing the formations, let us write by the formation of by writing the equation. So magnesium, how many electrons? 12. How many electrons it needs to lose? 2. So gives, what will be the product here? Plus 2. Right? Here this equation can also be written as Mg gives rise to Mg plus 2 plus 2 electrons also. If you write this or this, same. If you write this equation or this equation, both show same answer, same result. Here magnesium, hello, look here. Here magnesium is equals to magnesium plus 2 plus 2 electrons. Here magnesium is losing 2 electrons and becoming this Mg plus 2. Both are same? So this is about magnesium. And coming to oxygen. Oxygen, how many electrons it needs to get? 2 electrons. While we are showing this, here you have to mention extra. Means the electrons which it is losing or the electrons which it needs. So how many electrons are there in the outermost? 6 and here 2, right? 6 electrons plus 2 electrons gives rise to how many electrons? 8 in the outermost. So then it becomes O minus 2. Okay, O minus 2 means how many electrons will be there in the outermost? 8. So this is after gaining 2 electrons, the substance, the element or the atom which is formed is called oxide. Okay, this is called oxide. If it is with chlorine, chloride. Okay, if it is cation, magnesium ion, sodium ion, aluminum ion, like that. Okay, if it is chlorine, chloride. If it is oxygen, oxide. Right? Now how this magnesium reacts with oxygen? As it is having magnesium plus 2 plus O minus 2. Right? So it is having 2 electrons extra and 2 electrons deficient for oxygen. Then it becomes neutral. NGO. Right? So this is the formation of ionic compounds. Clear? Let us see for magnesium chloride. What is the formula of magnesium chloride? Mg Cl I'll leave it like that. Magnesium, how many electrons? Mg plus 2, right? Chlorine, Cl minus. So Cl it, right? So, and it is having 2 electrons excess. So, if it gains 1 electron, what happened to other electron? It needs some other chlorine atom, right? So, Mg plus 2, here 2 excess will be given to 2 chlorine atoms. Got my point? Then it becomes MgCl2. Got it? So, in the same way, aluminum chloride. Tell me the formula. Aluminum chloride. Aluminum, how many electrons it needs to lose? 3. Yes? So, Al plus 3. Right? Here, chloride ion. Chloride ion means how many? If it is 1 chlorine atom, how many electrons it needs? 1. So, if aluminum is giving 1 electron to 1 chlorine, and what about other 2? Other 2 electrons, other 2 chlorine atoms are required. So, another Cl. Then what is the formula of this? AlCl3. Yes, easy to remember how these formations are done, right? How to write the formula of some compounds, right? Magnesium on losing, right? Gives Mg plus 2. Chlorine on gaining, it becomes Cl minus. So 2 chlorines, 2 electrons. Yes? 2 Cl minus, not Cl minus. Here we are not supposed to write minus 2, that is completely wrong. Right? Here we are taking 2 chlorine atoms, so that 2 should be written just before the symbol, not on the top. While we are writing this negative sign or positive sign. Is it clear? So 2 Cl minus. Got my point? Now Mg plus 2 and 2 Cl minus gives to form MgCl2. So here, for the formation of ionic compound called magnesium chloride, it requires 2 chlorines for magnesium to form magnesium chloride. Right? Let us do some more examples. That is aluminum chloride. Do it. Yes, ma'am.
Magnesium chloride and MgCl2, we can write like Mg2Cl also.
Why Mg2Cl here? MgCl2. Why? Because here we are using 2 chlorines, not 2 magnesium.
But 2 chlorine you told me before, right? 2 plus chlorine.
Come again?
No, you told that magnesium chloride.
Yeah. For magnesium, it requires 2 chlorines to form magnesium chloride, right? Yes? Here 2 electrons are there. Here how many are there? For each chlorine, 7 are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are there. Right? This electron is given to this chlorine and this electron is given to this chlorine. Right? If it is 2 magnesium, as you said, if it is 2 magnesium, one magnesium is having 2 electrons and other magnesium is having 2 electrons. Okay? But single chlorine atom requires 1 electron only. So we cannot balance. We cannot equally share, equally lose or equally gain the electrons. So basing on this, losing and gaining, the formation of this ionic compounds can be done. Clear? So let us do it for aluminum chloride. What is the formula for aluminum chloride? AlCl3. As I shown just now, in that way you show me aluminum chloride. No, here I showed na Al. Show the formation. How many electrons are there in the outermost for aluminum? 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I am writing in this way. Yes? And how many electrons are there for chlorine? 7 in outermost. This is for this chlorine atom. 7 in outermost for this chlorine atom, right? And 7 in outermost for the third chlorine atom. This electron is given to this chlorine atom, and this electron is given to this chlorine atom, and this electron is given to this chlorine atom, and they forms a bond and they forms a ionic compound called AlCl3. Okay? And that's all for today. We'll have some worksheet based on these formations.
Yes, ma'am.
Practice at home.